Reading vlog, reading vlog, reading vlog. Today I'm kicking off a reading vlog. I say that as if you had no clue. I'm about to head to Barnes & Noble, Barnes & Noble, Barnes & Nobes, Barnaby and Nobly, because I want to pick up To Paradise by Hania Yanagihara. This is the same author that wrote the book that blew up over the past few years, and that is A Little Life. The book that literally had people sobbing their brains out. Brains literally coming out their tear ducts. Because it both blew their brains and made them emotional. The same book that I DNF'd because I knew myself well enough to know that 1, I was never going to finish it, and I tried, I gave it 3 tries. 3 strikes you out. And 2, it had reached that level of hype where I knew I'd have way too high of expectations to enjoy myself while reading it. The thing is, what I read of A Little Life, I enjoyed in terms of the writing style. And I'm all about second chances. The opportunity to do things again but better. So here we are now, with a season for second chances. But we'll see if this time will be different. I hope that I end up more happy than not. It's very clear to me that the author does a lot of character work in order for her characters to have that realness factor. Which is why I think so many people had such big reactions with A Little Life. Because you just can't help but grow this care for the characters because they feel so real. So I still want to give this author a second chance, and that's what I'm going to be doing with To Paradise, but I'm going into this book knowing absolutely nothing. I don't know anything about the description. I haven't read any reviews. Zip, zero, none. I don't know anything about the setting, the characters, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'm going to keep it that way. That way the expectations are down here. And the thing with the hype surrounding A Little Life is that everyone knew it was tragic and sad. That was the selling point. For some reason, people saw other people crying their brains out over it and said to themselves, I want that for myself. I get it though. I've been there. I love me a sad book. But you go into that book with those expectations that it's going to leave you feeling devastated. And I don't want to go into this book with any expectations like that. I don't want to go into it knowing it's going to whack me upside the head and wreck me. I also ended up spoiling myself for A Little Life, which on the low, I'm kind of glad that I did, because it made me understand why everyone leaves that book broken down and in tears. Like the author did not hold back. Went straight for the heart and ripped it out. It's release day, so let's go to the good old Barnes & Noble, get the book, then go get some boba, then I have to go to the dentist, which I'm not looking forward to. And then I'm finally going to put together my FlexiSpot V9 desk bike, which I have had in my room for so long, and it was sent to me a while ago, so it's time that I finally put it together. I'm very excited about it. Okay, let's go!
You wanna ride on my wave just because it's fun. You wanna be in my space, too close to the sun, don't seem to care if it's safe. Well, that makes 2 of us. I'm so insane, and you like it, but you haven't seen anything yet. Now you're just beginning your trip to regrets. You might think you know me, but soon you forget. I'm too insane, and you know it. You got to learn to like me again and again, 'cause I will make you love me again and again.
It's unboxing time. I got sent this FlexiSpot V9 desk bike from FlexiSpot, and I'm super excited about it. It's super easy to put together, which I was actually very surprised by. As somebody who hates putting together furniture, this was super easy. It took minimal effort, which is exactly what I'm looking for when putting together furniture. Not to sound like an infomercial, but you can have it together in minutes. It has a lot of amazing features. You can adjust the desktop, both height and angle, and of course the height of the chair. The bike itself is scratch resistant and easy to move around with its rollers, so you don't have to worry about scuffing up the floors. It's a super sturdy and stable desk, making it really easy to get some work done on it and also some reading done on it in my case. And that's exactly what I'm excited to use it for, both editing and reading while biking. Like, hello. Give me a chance to work out while I'm doing 2 of my favorite things, editing and reading. I'll take it. Thank you to FlexiSpot for sending this my way. I love FlexiSpot products, and I highly recommend checking them out. I will leave more information on them down below in the description with links as to where you can find other FlexiSpot products. The way I'm literally about to do an update for my new FlexiSpot V9 desk bike. Should I bike and talk? Only if I want to be out of breath while I talk. I was gifted this bike from FlexiSpot, but I love FlexiSpot. I will leave a link to them down below in the description. I actually have one of their standing desks in my library room, and I love it. I use it all the time, and I'm excited to use this when I feel too lazy to go to the gym, which is a thing that's been happening to me a lot lately. To be fair, it's hard for me to get out in the cold. I can use this to edit or read while working out, and that I'm excited about. Bike and read, bike and read, bike and read. Okay, getting carried away here. Do I start with a reading update, a book haul, or a teeth update? Let's start with the book haul. I obviously first up got To Paradise, which I had to have someone find it for me, because apparently I'm not a book pro like I thought I was. I've been defeated by the bookshop game. Completely torn to shreds. Do you know how embarrassing it is to have to ask somebody where a book is? It's embarrassing for me because I know Barnes & Noble like the back of my hand. Am I okay? This book is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be, but I guess A Little Life was pretty big too. If anyone breaks into my house, it's over for them. I just need to work on my throwing skills. As you can see, I caved and got a few other things because clearly I can't go to a bookshop and just buy one thing. I lose sight of the one book goal and buy several things. I've got the new edition of History Is All You Left Me, and this is the deluxe edition. So deluxe, so fancy. Then I got the More Happy Than Not deluxe edition. This has been out for a while, but I decided that I needed it for my collection. I just really love the art styles on these new covers, so I just had to have them. It's been wild seeing Adam's career take off in the way that it has. And these are the OGs. Back in the day, me and you, baby. We used to have fun. More people need to pick up More Happy Than Not and read it. Even if it is a soul crusher, let the soul be crushed. Finally, I picked up this book called Limit. Maybe I was craving lemonade at the time. I don't know. Weird things happen to me when I'm in a bookshop. This is a Korean novel that was translated into English, and essentially it's about this murder case that goes cold and a girl that is tied to the murder case. Ooh, I gotta sneeze. Oh my gosh. Hey! I just saw my life flash before my eyes. What was I saying? So we follow this girl who is in some way tied to the case, and she decides to go back and try to unravel it and figure it out. Get to the bottom of it. Those are the books I got. Kind of a random haul, to be honest, but I'm not mad about it. As for my teeth, I have to get a root canal. That was a very abrupt segue. And I have a few cavities, so I just really love that for me. I typically like the dentist, but when they come bearing bad news, I want to scream and shout and let it all out. Now for a reading update. Ow, that hurt my ears. The real reason we're here. I'm 154 pages in, which is honestly a lot. I keep running into this problem with long books where I just feel like they should be cut down. Like I don't need all these deets. I love words, and yet this is too wordy. It's like when somebody is trying to tell you this like super small situation that happened to them, and they talk your ears off for an hour, and then you finally get to the end of the story, and you're just kind of like, that's all? That's it? You're done? Check please. The writing is beautiful, don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying its beautifulness. I'll slurp that up all day. Stick a straw in it and slurp. I feel bad for all the people who don't like slurpy noises. I love a good slurp. But we could have for sure like snipped off a lot of words in this and it would have been fine. Like just do some snipping and it'll all be dandy. Trust me, please. Let's do a trust fall exercise. See, I got you. So far, it's a story about this guy named David, and it takes place in New York in like the 1890s, not the 1980s, the 1890s. And he's essentially being set up for this arranged marriage by his granddaddy to this guy named Charles. It's pretty spicy so far. Also, I realized that the book is broken down into parts. It's broken down into 3 parts, so I'm going to try to read a part a day. A part today, a part tomorrow, and a part the third and final day. A part a day keeps the doctor away. I really like how in the first section it's kind of exploring a world that's warped. Like we're in the 1890s and gay and lesbian relationships are normalized. Like even the arranged marriage that's happening is between 2 men. I love when books have that like historical aspect, but they take history and kind of break it down, make it new, make it fresh. Break it down, baby! And I find that to be a charm of this first section. Anyway, it's time for me to get back to reading. Can I do that fun transition or is it gonna be super awkward? It's much later and I have finished part 1. Where's my cookie? Where's my reward? Give me my reward. I'm leaving this first section just feeling okay. We've parked ourselves in the okay lot. I wasn't wowed per se, but I also wasn't mad at it. It was just okay. I'm really enjoying the characters so far and just like learning about them. They have a very real feeling about them and I like that aspect. You really get a feel of who they are and how they process different things they are going through. The thing that I'm kind of frustrated with though, leaving this first section, is that I just don't really know what the core importance is, and obviously that's just like the first section. I'm sure by the end of it I will have an understanding for the importance of the first book, but I just left the first section with the question of what was the meaning behind this, because I didn't really feel like it did anything. Like there were definitely some themes that were dropped in the first one, don't get it McTwisted, but I ultimately just didn't feel that satisfied by the end of it. I am going to get started on part 2 before I go to bed, and we'll see where part 2 takes me. I got to page 202, so I'm not super far into book 2 yet. In this part, we're in 1993 and we're in Manhattan. Welcome to New York. Hey, we're following another David, not the same from part 1, and he's having an affair with this guy named Charles. Scandalous! Again, not the same Charles from part 1. In this book, we're delving into the past of David and kind of looking at his life and seeing how he became the way that he is today. Yeah, I do like the fact that we get the chance to take a step in the past and see how a character became the way that they are. That's an element within books that I always tend to really enjoy. I am interested to see if I have a hard time keeping my Davids and my Charles in line, and that I remember that they're not the same Davy and Charlie from part 1. But I don't know about that. I could have been cast in Dumber and Dumber, so we'll see if my brain is able to keep things in track. I don't have many thoughts on this section yet, as I haven't gotten that far into it, but I'm interested to see where this one ends up, and to see if there's any parallels or connections to book 1 or part 1. The obvious parallel right now is this name game. It's gonna be a literal name game as I play the these are different characters in the part 1 characters game. Right now, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from reading, and I'm going to attempt to organize these shelves behind me. They've just kind of gotten a bit messy. They need some moving around. They need some freshening up. Make things a bit less cluttered, though I kind of like the cluttered look. I am kind of going for that. It's gonna be like intentional clutter. Let's do it to it. Much later, and I wish I was sleeping right now, but instead I am sitting here talking about part 2 because that's what I finished, but I would like to go to sleep now. I'm gonna be honest, I wanted to DNF this book while reading part 2. I've been like, it ain't worth it! I should not put myself through this! That's enough now! I don't want to risk it for the biscuit, I want to read something more appetizing, but I'm holding on just because I have hope that there is a bigger picture here. I just feel like something's brewing, and in part 3 things are gonna come together and it's gonna just be beautiful and magical and I'm gonna die. Not die, but I'll feel something. Even though I told myself I'd be better at DNFing things this year, look at me now, being the hypocrite that I am. I read Cloud Cuckoo Land, which is actually right here. This book, it was my first read of the year, and there were times when I wanted to chuck this book and DNF it, I'm not gonna lie, but I knew that things were building to a certain point, and that they did. I just needed to trust the process, which is not always easy to do. And I just feel like this book is giving me similar vibes to Cloud Cuckoo Land in the fact that it is leading to something, but I don't know, what if I'm wrong? What if I get to the end and it's just nothing? No ties, no threads, and it's just 3 separate books in one. That I'm afraid of. I will say that I am going to be seeking out reviews by Black reviewers just because there is some harmful language just tossed around in here, and I personally don't even know why it's being added to the book. Like, I'm not sure if she's trying to be controversial. That's just something to be aware of with this book. There is just like harmful language just like thrown around. Even though I typically hate affair storylines, I can't say that I enjoyed the affair storyline in this section, but I liked the tension that it brought in. I felt like the author did a great job writing that tension. That's what I was trying to say. I hated the affair aspect, but I liked the tension. I liked the writing of the tension. It was done really well. I did highlight a line from this section that just like moved me in such a strong way. I'm kind of regretting it now because I don't even know if I will end up loving this book enough to keep it by the end of it. Why did I have to mark it? I will read it to you dramatically. What he wouldn't know until he was much older was that no one was ever free. That to know someone and to love them was to assume the task of remembering them, even if that person was still living. No one could escape that duty, and as you aged, you grew to crave that responsibility even as you sometimes resented it. That knowledge that your life was inextricable from another's, that a person marked their existence in part by their association with you. I was almost crying reading that part, and I don't book cry. Like, I don't read and cry. I typically don't. Very few books have moved me to tears, but I don't know, I feel like recently I've had books that have just like crushed me. Like You've Reached Sam, I cried reading that book. But anyway, I just felt that quote so deeply. As I was like reading that line, I was just like having these like flashes of different people in my mind who have made their mark on my life. Whether they've stayed with me and I'm still friends with them, or they just kind of have passed by as some friendships do. Every single one of them has like made their mark on me. So yeah, that hit me quite a bit. Now I am on to part 3. I think I'm gonna read a little bit before I go to bed tonight, even though I just want to go to sleep, man. I just want to sleep. I want the ZZZs. But I'm gonna stay up a little bit and do some reading because I think section 3 is like a big I'll update you guys tomorrow with more thoughts. As you can see, I'm currently working on a bookish puzzle. This is a puzzle that's been on my coffee table since June 2021, just sitting here. But I'm reaching the end point today. Puzzle success! While I'm finishing it up though, I want to talk about part 3, because that's where I'm at. I'm currently on page 430. This third section is like very pandemic heavy, which is always really fun to read about when you yourself have been through a pandemic. Still technically going through a pandemic. This part is set in the future, and again, we're in New York. I love when you get to the point in a puzzle where like you just know where pieces go. This time we're following a female narrative, and we watch as she's kind of dissecting her grandfather's life, because he himself essentially worked against pandemics throughout his lifetime. This one is really fascinating so far, even though there are bits of it that have kind of confused me. There's just bits of it where I'm not understanding the full scope of the situation, but I feel like it's kind of doing that on purpose. This layer of confusion is meant to be uncovered as you're going through the story, because this section in particular definitely has more of a mystery element going for it. And even though I do have those sections where I am like just kind of confused, it is, I think, so far my favorite section of the book. I might have a different opinion by the time I reach the end of it, but the mystery element has been intriguing me quite a bit. And it's also like thrilling in a weird kind of way. I have one more piece. Where's the last slot at? Why do I not see? Oh, there it is. Bada bing, bada boom. I finished the puzzle. It's beautiful. I should try to do that thing on TikTok where they like fling it up, except I'm too scared to. I don't feel like it'll stay together. You just like whoosh. No, I'm too scared. But you're supposed to go whoosh, and you can just like hold it, but I'm too terrified. I want to get a nice overview shot of it before I do that. Now I want to figure out which puzzle is going to live here for another year on my freaking coffee table as I put it together. I've got this one that I really like. It's like a bookstore. It's got the different sections: fantasy, science fiction, sports, graphic novels, etc., etc. Then I have this one that's blooming books, and it's got like flowers and butterflies coming out of the books. So let me know down below in the comments which one you think I should do next. I'm leaning towards the 750 piece puzzle, because I tend to prefer puzzles that are like on the 500 to 700 mark. Let's do a vote down below in the comments. Should I do the bookstore one or the blooming books one? Also, I'm just realizing how terrible this angle is. I never said I was a perfect vlogger. I never ever said that.
2 days later.
It's been a minute since my last update, but I finished the book. The last section took me a minute to break through, but I've broken free. I'm soaring, flying. Part 3 was definitely my favorite in the book, even though it was like pandemic heavy and like not always the most fun to read about. I still, I think, enjoyed it the most out of all 3 sections. And even though it was my favorite— oh, that freaked me out. This was touching the back of my head. Oh, ho, 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 ho. And even though it was my favorite section of the book, I think overall this book just like was not for me. I'm really leaving this standing in the middle. I didn't hate it per se, but I also never got bit by the love bug. Where the author really succeeds, in my opinion, which I feel like I'm a broken record, I feel like I've said this so many times throughout this video, but it's the writing style. Like, I really just enjoy her writing style. I really feel like she does a great job of describing different things and describing the characters. Specifically, she just does a great job of making sure the characters feel real. But I think where things kind of get lost, for me anyway, are the ideas that are brought up. And that's because they're just that, brought up. In my opinion, it just feels like they're not explored in a way that like carries on the conversation. They just end up in nothingness territory. It's like talking to a wall and expecting a response. You don't get the response unless your voice is like echoing off the wall. That's the only response you get. I'm also just kind of disappointed because there weren't really concrete connections between the different stories. They are tied together through different themes that are brought up and little elements here and there that are sometimes easy to miss if you're like not paying attention, but that's really as far as the connections go, and I just needed more in that department. Like, I needed more threads, more connections, more things tying the 3 together, because otherwise, why have 3 books in one when you can just make 3 books? You know? Maybe I'm being a little too picky over here. Picky! All in all, I am underwhelmed. I'm very interested to see the reactions for this book, so I'm definitely going to be running to Goodreads tonight and reading through reviews, just because I am very curious to see how people are feeling about this book. That's it for this vlog, though. Let me know down below in the comments if you have read To Paradise and what your thoughts are on it. Also, just let me know down below in the comments a book that you read recently that you felt underwhelmed by, so that way I don't feel alone sitting here underwhelmed by this book. I honestly probably should have DNF'd it, but I just couldn't, because I thought there was going to be a bigger picture. But there really wasn't, and that's unfortunate. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon, and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye. Copying the book would be really helpful.